Welcome to the June the 25th, 1991 taping of It's Happening in Grand Prairie. And before bringing you the most exciting program, we have two community service announcements. Please get your piece of paper and pencil. We know you'll want to remember this. The Chamber of Commerce is having their CEO Roundtable Luncheon. The magic date is June the 26th. That's day after tomorrow. We're taping this on a Tuesday. It'll be at 11:30 a.m. and it'll be at the Arlington Hilton. And don't fret, because the Arlington Hilton is a member of the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. Please call the magic number at the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, 264-1558, in the event that you'd like to make reservations for this CEO luncheon, and that is June the 26th at 11:30 a.m. And a very special congratulations. The Grand Prairie Senior Citizens Center salutes Laverne Fuller, who is the Senior Citizen of the Month. She is a very important lady as a volunteer at the Senior Citizen Center and helps with the nutrition program and many other facets of the senior citizen work. We're so proud of our senior citizens and especially salute Laverne Fuller for Senior Citizen of the Month. And now we have a very special guest highlighting today. We have Mr. Trent Parham, who is approximately 2 years old, as a very special guest, and he has brought with him a very special support group. First of all, he has brought with him Michael Parham, his dad. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're delighted to have you on the set today. And he has brought with him his wonderful aunt, Lisa Parham Gordon, and we're so delighted to have you with us, Lisa.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, Trent's other guest is very, very special in that Norma Schramm is from Life Link, the Mara Link to Life from Dallas, Texas, and we're so delighted to welcome you to the show, too.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. All right, let's set the stage first by talking with Norma. Let's talk with you a little bit about Life Link. Tell us, what on earth is Life Link, and how important is bone marrow to those of us that really, really need it, such as Trent?
Okay, for the majority of us, when I was originally diagnosed with leukemia in August of 1988, and at that time I had another disease called DIC. I was 5.5 months pregnant, and they said with all the complications you have about 6 weeks to live. For someone that has leukemia or a blood-related disorder, so many times the only chance of survival is a bone marrow transplant. And at that time I had no match. There's a chance of finding a match in your family is 25%, which is not very good. So that
All right, how important is this match business? Now, there are many people in our viewing audience that know absolutely nothing about bone marrow transplants and that you have to have a match. Tell them about it.
Exactly. Oh, that's the way I was. When I first diagnosed, I did not even know what bone marrow was, let alone what you needed a match for. Mm-hmm. And bone marrow is the stuff within the bone that manufactures your blood cells. So for a leukemia patient or for someone who has aplastic anemia or a blood disorder, their bone marrow is a breakdown. Actually, it's cancer of the bone marrow, which is the blood-producing cells. So the only thing that's going to be helpful to them and let them survive usually is a bone marrow transplant. And there's 6 antigens or 8 antigens that have to match, and it's got to be a perfect tissue typing. Well, that chance of finding a match in your family is just 1 in 4. And so that forces most of us to look outside the family for a donor, and then your chance becomes 1 in 20,000.
1 in 20,000. Michael Parham, father of a young man that is in dire need of a transplant. We'd like for you to talk to our viewing audience and let us know a little bit about what you've been through to be able to find a matching donor for little Trent.
Well, of course, it's been devastating. I mean, what can you say? We've had to deal with it. Mm-hmm. We've had so many ups and downs. Mm-hmm. At first, they thought they might be able to treat it with chemotherapy, but because of the other condition that he's got, which is called Fanconi's anemia, which causes a weakening of the bone marrow, and once you give the chemotherapy with someone with that condition, then it makes it doubly worse. So they really told us that our best alternative, and probably our only alternative, was to go ahead and do a bone marrow transplant. And of course, then we had to locate a donor, and they told us about the 1 in 20,000 chance of finding somebody. But it really worked out real well. They found not one or two, but they found 3 perfect donors.
Which is just about a miracle, because right now we're losing approximately 10 to 11,000 people a year. Leukemia, for those of you who don't know, is the #1 killer among children, and it hits twice as many as adults as it does children. So when I look at somebody like Trent, that's 2 years old, and he doesn't stand a chance unless there's someone, and when I say someone, that means one person that's going to match him. And when I first started looking, there were 61,000 people in the National Registry. We now have approximately 300,000, and that's still not enough. We're losing 10,000 lives a year, and it's such an easy process to do and to give marrow.
All right, I want to know where your 3 donors are, and do we have any plans to take Trent to do that transplant?
We don't know where the 3 donors are. They have one that they really matched up, that they feel is the best of the 3. The only thing that we can do is tell them we would like to know who this person is. We do know it's a 45-year-old female. We don't know where she is, but we're planning on going to Milwaukee, which is one of only 3 places that they gave us an alternative to go to. And the transplant itself is started or scheduled to start on July 12th. And we're leaving this coming Friday night to begin preparations and testing. And they said prepare for approximately 3 months to stay.
Will that mean that you and Sally and Trent will go, or how will you handle that as a family?
Sally and Trent, my wife, Sally, are going to fly up this Friday night. And I'm probably going to go up there at the critical stage of the transplant, which according to them is like 3 to 5 days after the actual transplant, and then for 10 days, 2 weeks, or however long after that. I'm just going to play it by ear.
All right, let's get to Lisa. Lisa Gordon is the aunt of this precious young man. I'd like for you to name your parents, who are very important in community circles here in Grand Prairie, Texas, and tell how you all, as a support team, of course, and Sally's parents have really rallied behind you.
Well, my parents are Burns and Billy Parham of Grand Prairie, longtime residents, and Sally's parents are Andy and Lois Stackhouse, and they're from Georgia, and they've been working hard to getting information out and getting it spread around their community.
Yes.
My parents have been real helpful. It's taken a family to get through this, and I've gotten real involved with the donor marrow organization, and I'm now on the National Registry.
Oh,
I think that's one thing that people don't understand, that giving 2 tablespoons of blood is all it takes to get on the National Registry.
I see. That is wonderful, and because of your involvement of this, you have expanded your life somewhat, haven't you?
Yes, I've learned a lot about it, and I want to get more involved and get the news around to everybody to not be afraid to get on the National Registry, because if everybody would be involved with it, then more people lives could be saved.
She's gotten involved and is going to be getting more involved with LifeLink. When you had asked about, we founded this organization about 3 years ago. When I found out that for most people the only way of survival is a bone marrow transplant, that's when I wanted to do something about it. And there were a couple of other people that already had that idea. So LifeLink was founded to raise funds and to also create awareness for the need for bone marrow donors. The testing, because it's so intense and so comprehensive, it costs about $75 for donors to be tested. So what we try to do is raise funds so those that want to be tested, the money will be there for them to be tested.
That's great.
Right now we have a minority grant from the government that any minority, Hispanic or African American, can be tested free of charge. And we're also expanding to get into some patient support services and also some information and referral networks and those kind of things that Lisa's going to be helping us with.
Great. I need to ask Michael something else. You have 2 other sons, I believe, Matt and Brett.
That's correct.
All right. How are they adjusting to all of this?
It's really not phasing them. They're not old enough to understand what's going on. They know he's going to the hospital and going to Milwaukee, but they don't understand why. And it's probably really better, I mean, because them, like Trent Trent doesn't understand what's going on, and I think it makes it better in that situation.
As a practicing attorney here in Grand Prairie, Texas, a young man of great stature, following in your father's footsteps, I'd like for you to look into your camera and tell the people in video land how important it is to answer the call for a donor or anything else that comes up like this that will help a child.
It's very important. I know myself, I didn't understand what donating bone marrow was. I didn't realize how easy it is compared to the great benefit that you're giving to somebody. You're actually giving the gift of life. It's very important to do it. It's very easy. Please check with your local blood center. They'll tell you how to do that, and it's very easy, and it's life-saving to many people.
Wonderful.
And
1/2 minute.
1/2 minute. When you are matched, you're literally saving one life, and if you don't get in that registry, that person's not going to stand a chance. In order to do that, you can call LifeLink at 351-8644, or you can call me. I'm Vice President of Contributions for LifeLink, and my number is 216-1962, and we need you. So thank you.
I want to thank you very much, Norma.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Lisa. I want to thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And Trent, we want to thank you for being such a good young man, and what a nice smile today from Trent Parham, who needs a bone transplant and is very special in Grand Prairie, Texas, not only to the Parhams, but for all of us that know the family and know little Trent. And this is Ruthie Jackson, and we'll be right back.
This dollar of your tax money was used to pick up the can you threw out the window the other day.
This $5 of your tax money was used to pick up that candy wrapper you threw out last week.
This $20 of your tax money was used to pick up the bottle you tossed.
Why spend money on extra taxes? Spend it on what you want.
I bought this new car because I spread the word, not the waste. Don't mess with Texas.
Today, thanks to the miracle of medicine and the gift of a stranger, these children have been saved through a bone marrow transplant. But so many people are on waiting lists, hoping and praying someone will donate marrow that matches their own. Not everyone can be a donor, but if you are one of those very special people, please volunteer today. To give your marrow is to give the gift of life.
Before bringing you our next two guests, we have some community service announcements that we know that you'll want to hear. First of all, we have one from the Metroplex Care Center. And Val Robinson, who is a very important lady over the volunteers there, said, Ruthie, please announce that we're at a standstill until we get some more contributions for our wheelchair lift fan fundraiser. So if you have any extra bucks floating around, or if you'd like to host a party to raise funds for this very important deal, would you please contact Val at 264-2464. And any help that you can give the Metroplex Care Center, they will appreciate it. And if you have time to volunteer to help them, Val will appreciate that also. Remember the magic telephone number, 264-2464. And next is also relating to senior citizens, and please note that they are supporting a reach out program. And if you have volunteer time and would like to help with this, keeping in touch with the homebound, please call 642-0500, and they'll be happy to have you on the list as someone to help call our senior citizens that are homebound. And this is through the Grand Prairie Senior Citizen Center that's located on Conover Drive. Grand Prairie Safety Town, and this is going to be a happening sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce with about 5 or 6 other groups that are helping to sponsor this. Please call Georgia Clemson, the chairman, at 647-2425 if you would be interested in working on this project as a volunteer or would like to make a contribution. Pardon me. The Red Cross volunteers are needed, and we have a magic telephone number for them. 262-3490 is Jean Wright's number, or if you would call the office, 262-7813. If you have any volunteer time to give, they give you the training, they provide the station wagon, the gasoline service, the maintenance, the insurance, and driver training. Magic number one more time, 262-7813. And now, Inglewood Baptist Church, South Carrier Parkway and Virginia Avenue, a very important church that's a mover and shaker on South Carrier. We're delighted to welcome Pat Webb. Pat, welcome to the scene.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Wonderful. And Patty Busby, who keeps me in touch with the Inglewood Baptist Church. We're glad to welcome you to the set also. All right. We have a magic name that all three of us are going to drop, like Dr. J.R. Cheney, that serves as the chairman of the Commission on Aging.
Right.
He's very important in the city, not only as a doctor in the ministry, but he has you working real hard, doesn't he?
Right.
All right,
While he's gone, he's got
and he is out of the city. So tell us what's going on at Inglewood.
Right now, we're in the process of doing a musical presentation called To Be an American. It's a patriotic presentation in honor of our Desert Storm troops, also our military personnel, past, present, and future. And we're having our entire congregation involved in this. Over 150 people be involved in presenting this musical presentation. And we've sent out over 400, almost 500 invitations to our Desert Storm troops and invited them to come. We've had several have called back that said they'd love to be there, plan on being here. We've invited all our city personnel to be there.
Yes.
And we hope that many of you will be there. I know our mayor said he's planning on coming. And so we're just very busy right now.
All right, now tell me how much time it takes, pardon me, to put together a presentation such as this, of this magnitude, using all of the talents you have in your congregation and probably some of the others you've hustled.
It takes quite a long time. The dream came about back in April, right before our Easter presentation we did at Inglewood. And I started thinking about this because of the Desert Storm operation and everything. And so back in April, I began to put the thing together in my mind. We ordered the music and got it together. And then from then I started asking volunteers to be a part of the musical. I started working with our choir. Probably the hours alone spent on a production like this is in the neighborhood to 100, 150 hours, man hours at the church. For myself, and then the congregation and the choir, what they put in is somewhat less, but not that much.
All right, Patty, tell us your role at Inglewood Baptist Church, or what do you do for the congregation?
Well, Ruthie, I am the Minister of Music's secretary as well as the youth secretary, but as far as the American presentation, it's just more finalizing the last minute details and getting the costuming underway and making sure everybody has the right sizes, and just really wrapping up the last minute details that we have to take care of.
In other words, you are the official gopher for all of the official gopher. Go for this and go for that. Well, that happens to some of us. How long have you been worshiping at the Inglewood Church?
My husband and I have been there almost 16 years. We've been living in Grand Prairie since October '75.
All right, would you name drop that young man that allows you to do all of these things at Inglewood Baptist and for free?
My husband?
Yes.
His name's Mike Busby. He grew up in this area.
All right.
And we've been married almost, 16 years now. We've been a member there that long.
You have. Do you have a family?
We have a daughter. She's 10. Her name is Amanda Faye.
And where does she go to school?
She goes to school at Zavala Elementary.
Okay.
And she's going to be in the 5th grade.
All right. Do you have her involved in all of this project? Or any other members of your family?
She's not in this project, but she has been in several of the music projects.
That's great.
And that's all the family I have here right now.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's get back to Mr. Pat. Pat, tell us a little bit about yourself, young man.
Well, I'm not a native Texan.
Oh, it's all right. We're going to forgive
Okay,
you because I don't think that we can cure that today.
I'm a native Colorado and born in Fort Collins, Colorado.
All right.
And I have a wife and 2 boys. Both of those boys will be in this musical production.
All right, you must name drop all of the
Okay.
people you've mentioned.
Carolyn is my wife. She's the church pianist. And,
All right.
and my right-hand man does everything that Patty doesn't do. And then my son Jonathan and Stephen, and they'll both be in the production. They're part of it, and they're actors in this.
I see. And do they attend school in Grand Prairie area?
They attend Farrell Elementary over in Grand Prairie,
All right.
and we've been at Inglewood almost 6 years.
All right. That's great. Now, what kind of drive do you have to really get together and put on a production like this that's almost like putting on a movie out of Hollywood?
Exactly. It takes a lot of drive. It takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of rest. but it takes a lot of energy to do something like this and the magnitude we're doing. It's it would almost be work if I didn't enjoy it so much, but I enjoy the work, I enjoy what we're doing, that I just love to pour myself into it. It's my energy and my wife's energy and Patty's energy and the people that work behind the scenes that really make these things go. And our people, once they catch that vision and catch that drive that we have, it just seems to just go and go and go. But it takes a lot of energy, a lot of energy.
Do you dare name any key people that have really helped you without leaving out someone that will get their feelings hurt?
Yeah, the key people right now that we have involved in this is Mike Busby, Patty's husband. He is he's our main narrator, and he's working with a lady by the name of Lori Cross, and she's our other main narrator. And without those two people there, this musical would not be the kind of musical it needs to be. They just bring it all together because of their stage presence and their articulation. They're just tremendous people. And so without them, it would be really tough to bring this about.
And then you have some that do all the dirty work behind the stage, doing props and things like this.
Yes, we've got sound men. We've got Jim Grizzard running our sound. Bob Welker will be running the video for us, and he'll be taping. And then we have, of course, our lighting people. Without those lighting people, Nancy Spencer, Jamie Wilson, and Debbie Campbell, all those ladies in the background. Brian Brooks is a real vital part of this because he's the one, our orchestration man, that'll be putting this all together in the music end of it.
That sounds like a wonderful combination of everyone pulling together and working in a real special. Let me get back to Patty. Patty, how many hours, off hours, do you spend rehearsing and doing things for this and taking time away from your family? Or do you have them also involved in it that it's not really time away from the family?
Well, of course, Mike being one of the main narrators, he has put in more hours than I have as far as rehearsing because they rehearse on the side. But there's been a lot of hours that we've put into it aside from the regular Wednesday night rehearsals. There's a lot of extra hours spent at home on the phone or just in the office just wrapping up the loose ends and taking care of things that seem to fall through the cracks but that are very, very vital.
Okay. Now, Mr. Pat Webb of Musical Dynasty, why don't you tell us just a hint of some of the things that are going to be presented
I'd love to.
In the few minutes that we have
This is, of course, it's a musical presentation honoring God and the liberty that we have here, our religious freedom. But it starts out with a Neil Diamond piece called America. It's from the motion picture, The Jazz Singer. And we start our whole musical production with that musical presentation. Then we go into some favorites like Yankee Doodle Dandy and That's My Flag. We'll do And God Bless the USA by... what's that young man's name that most people know? Lee Greenwood.
Yes.
And we'll have a salute to our armed forces in the middle of this. Every branch of the armed forces will be recognized. They're encouraged to be there, asked to come in uniform if they have it, if it still fits. And we want them to be there, and we'll recognize them in the middle of this presentation. And then we end with a big finale called That's My Flag. It's You're a Grand Old Flag and Yankee Doodle Dandy. So it's... it'll be a good time for everybody. We have one tune in the middle of this that I think our children will really enjoy, and I probably won't tell them about it. I'd much rather them just come and be surprised at seeing this. But children, you need to be there and bring your parents because you'll see that it's a fun time for you too, so you plan on bringing your parents.
I believe you're doing 2 presentations of this.
Right.
Would you give us the time and the place and the date and everything one more time?
I sure will. June 30th. At 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock at Inglewood Baptist Church, 2117 Virginia, and that's on the corner of Carrier in Virginia. And we have tickets available by calling the church office at 264-4264. They are free. We just ask you to get them so we can control the crowd. The fire marshal would be mad at us if we had too many people there at one time. So you get your tickets. They are free. We just ask you to get them ahead of time.
All right. Now, Patty, as the secretary to the music department, I'd like for you to look out into your camera and really give everyone an invitation to something that you believe in and that it's so special.
I just want to invite everybody that it can possibly come to either the 3 o'clock or the 7 o'clock presentation to make an effort to come because it is a salute to America and in recognition of the troops, but also to recognize that God is the author of liberty. And this is going to be a very exciting time for our families to share together.
Great. All right. Now, of course, to wrap everything up and to tie it up in a nice little package, I'd like for you to speak to the very special musicians in town.
Okay.
And tell them what they will miss if they don't come and see how wonderfully you all perform together.
Okay. Well, you musicians out there, if you'd like to be here, I'd love to have you. I'd like for you to see a group of amateurs come together as a unit and pull together a musical that is probably second to none. And I'm not saying that just to brag about our folks, but they work hard and they are very talented young men and women. And I want you to come. I want you to be there and see what can be done in Grand Prairie.
All right, and before we close out, I believe you have some tickets for me just in case I do not get to come by Virginia and Carrier Parkway, South Carrier Parkway, to be able to do this.
I sure do. I have you 2 complimentary tickets there. I'd love for you to come, either the 3 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
In other words, if they pick up their tickets, I can go to either one of the performances.
Right.
Would you tell me where other places where they can pick up their tickets, or is there just one spot?
One location, that's our church office at 2117 Virginia. That's the only place that has the tickets right now.
I wish you all could sing, you all come. That would be so wonderful. I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to bring this message to It's Happening in Grand Prairie and to share this wonderful musical, quality of life, culture with the city of Grand Prairie, and that they can be invited for free.
For free.
And would you please tell the congregation how much we appreciate all of this, and that we send our love. And if I don't get back from Austin in time, representing our state representative Bill Arnold there for the governor's parade, just know that I was with you in spirit, and I'm going to try to get back to this 7 o'clock.
Great. Love to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you all on the show, and I'm glad that you didn't go out of town and you tell Dr. Cheney that he's going to have to do penance for that.
Okay, good.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you, and would you all join me by looking into your cameras, It's Happening in Grand Prairie.